Hey guys, what's up? It's Samantha, and today I am continuing my super duper rewind memory keeping spreads. And this is the week of September 21st through the 27th. I used this beautiful fall kit. I absolutely adore the colors in this kit and pulled in Champagne Lights foil once again, 2 weeks in a row. Didn't mean to do that, but you know, it just worked too well with both of these. And then I also pulled in this gorgeous ombre fall color washi from Simply Gilded. And I am obsessed with how well it paired with this kit. When I have the right washi with the right kit, it's perfection. And I love it. So this week was, again, a pretty boring week. I didn't do much except be tired and read. And I was organizing my script stickers still at this point. That was a big part of my life for like the end of summer, beginning of fall, that whole time in there. And I have a video going through my script sticker storage and my character sticker. I ended up just redoing my whole sticker storage system, which is why it took me months to do it. But if you are interested, I will try to remember to link that video as a card, or if not, have it in the description somewhere. It's a doozy. So, yeah, I was kind of having a little bit of like a lupus flare fatigue thing going on this week. I'm tired all the time. That's just part of my life these days. So, yeah, I did read some good books this week. This week, the first book I read was for my book club that I do at work, my YA for Adults book club, that if you're interested in joining, DM me on Instagram and I will send you a link for next month's book. I have a saved post, a highlight on my Instagram with this month's book, which is Girl Serpent Thorn. Is that what it's called? Yeah, I'm looking right at it. That's the pick for March. So the first book I read was A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson, and I loved this book so much. 5 out of 5. It is just a good mystery romp, and I had a great time reading it. I feel like a lot of YA mystery I don't click with. Like, there's certain authors that I love, like Maureen Johnson or Sadie by what's her face? I'm like staring at my arc of it on the wall. Why can't I? Courtney Summers. I could just see the Sadie part. But yeah, I loved A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and I've actually since then I've also read an arc of the next book in the series, and I had just as much fun with that as the first book. So it is a grand old time, but it basically follows this girl who, for her senior capstone project, decides she's going to try to prove that someone who was blamed for a murder in her town 5 years ago was innocent, and she recruits the guy who was blamed for everything that happened because he committed suicide, or it's believed that he killed himself after he had killed these other people, but his brother has maintained his innocence the entire time, so she recruits his younger brother to kind of help her solve this crime from years ago. And there's a whole lot going on, and a lot of characters, and a lot of kind of small town secrets. And she is like a very spunky, go get 'em. Like, she gets completely immersed in this crime solving thing, and it's just a lot of fun. And there's a little bit of mixed media. You get her interview transcripts, and you get her notes detailing her process as she's solving the crime, and there's maps and all different kinds of like fun stuff throughout the text. So you're kind of like seeing her, like the dossier she's building and all of her notes and her project notes and all that stuff. So it was just so much fun, and watching everything unravel, and there's still some small town, secrets, mysteries that you don't get all the answers to, and some of those things are addressed in the next book. So it is very well, like, it's interconnected, but they're also their own mysteries, and it was just so much fun. Basically everyone in the book club loved it, and it was a good first book to have for the book club because there was a lot to talk about, and kind of our theories and like the questions we had remaining and all that kind of stuff. So it was a grand old time. And then the next book, I can't really talk about too much other than to say that I loved it. And it was The Dragon Republic by R.F. Quang, which is the sequel to the Poppy War, which I talked about ad nauseum in my previous video, my previous Plan With Me. And this was so good. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. I love this whole series, but I can't really talk about anything that happens in it without spoiling the first book. So I would just highly encourage you to pick up The Poppy War if you are interested in reading a grimdark, like, Asian-inspired fantasy that draws from various elements of Chinese history, particularly the Sino-Japanese War. And it is just such a good time. Your heart will break at the end of this book. These are definitely, I guess, something I didn't mention in the previous book. It's grimdark, but in a lot of ways, Rin, who's the main character, is kind of an anti-hero, and she, is not necessarily someone you're rooting for, but like also you are very emotionally invested in these characters and you want them to make good choices, but they maybe don't always make good choices, and it hurts. It's like painful because they're like, no, you're like, no, my babies, like, please make good choices, please. And they just don't. So, I was emotionally destroyed by the ending of this book. And that is all I'm going to say on The Dragon Republic. And then the next book was actually a reread, and it was Crown of Coral and Pearl by Mara Rutherford. And I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoy this book. I mean, it doesn't necessarily do anything wildly new and inventive with, YA fantasy tropes. It definitely reads a little bit younger, kind of like, a good book to recommend to a 14-year-old sort of thing. But I don't know what it is. This book just captured my attention the first time I read it, and I enjoyed it just as much the second time through, which hasn't always been the case. I feel like I've gotten pickier, especially with YA fantasy. When I was rereading books, I reread a lot of books in fall of 2020 to prepare for sequels. This was one of them, and a lot of them I kind of felt more meh about the second time through, or I didn't really like this. I actually did not like the sequel to this book, so if you're going to read this, just read the first one. Don't pick up the second one. Just pretend that that's it. That's the story. I really didn't like the second book. But the first one was just, it's like a fun fantasy romp. There's a really great sister relationship. I love when YA books focus on like female friendships or sisterhood, and it's just a really sweet relationship between the main character and her twin sister. It follows a girl who is raised on this kind of like floating island. Her people have sort of been perpetually punished for some perceived slight, generations ago, and they're basically banished to the water where they dive for pearls that kind of have some healing magical properties, and they sell the pearls to the mainland and are, barely making a living. And these people from this island are kind of, or not island, but like floating city out in the sea, are known for kind of their vitality and long life. And once every generation, a princess is chosen from this group of people to kind of like beef up the royal line, so to speak, since there's like some, you know, the royal line kind of has some issues in terms of like their health and stuff. So this girl is the girl is picked based on who is the most beautiful. So there's a lot of emphasis on physical appearance and not getting sunburned and not getting scarred and being very careful so that you are seen as, you know, a perfect specimen to be picked to be the princess, because your family receives a lot of money and it can really make a difference in, you know, your family's life if you are chosen to go marry the prince. And the girls who are twins, the other sister is kind of seen as the perfect one, and the main character is seen as not even a candidate because she has a small scar on her cheek from a diving accident, like a tiny little dot. That's enough for people to kind of be viewed as ugly in this society, which, like, yeah, is over the top, but it's, like, it makes sense in context of the story, I guess. I don't know. But it's, she ends up switching places with her sister and using makeup to conceal the scar because her sister falls in love with someone in their town and she doesn't want to leave. She doesn't want to go marry the prince. So the other sister takes her place. And, you know, there's intrigue. There's like a creepy evil prince. There's like the prince's half brother who like falls in love with the girl. So there's like drama there, and there's like some weird creepy science experiments going on. And it's just like, it's ridiculous. Like, as I'm describing it, I'm like, this book is absolutely ridiculous, but it's a good time. It has a really great atmosphere. Both times I just flew through it, like couldn't put it down. It's just fun. Like sometimes you just read a book and it's fun and you're like not overthinking like tropes or plot holes or all that. You're just like, this is a good time. And the book is a good time. I really enjoy it, and I will be recommending it for, you know, quite a long time to the teens I work with. And if you like a fun YA fantasy romp, I would recommend it to you too, because, you know, sometimes we need fun books. There's nothing wrong with a fun book. So yeah, that was everything that I read this week. I was kind of in a bit of a reading slump, I guess, because normally I feel like I read more than 3 books a week, or if I read 3 books one week, it's because I started other books, and then the next week I'll have, you know, 5 or 6 books finished. And I just was really slumpy at the end of September, and I got really behind on my Goodreads goal, which is part of why I did 31 books in 31 days for October. So there will be plenty of books to talk about in the next few weeks of Plan With Me's, but I just could not, like, was not in my groove, so to speak. I am kind of in a reading slump right now, you know, in end of February 2021, not been my strongest reading month of all time, but I did lower my reading goal for 2020 to 200 books instead of 240. I'm glad I did it last year, and I had the ability to do it last year, but I have a lot of stuff going on, you know, like I've talked about on Instagram, like we're moving this year, and I'll talk about that more in like more detail in upcoming videos, but I just have a lot going on, and there's going to be a lot of change, like life change. So I'm already like way busier than I was last year. So I will be reading, you know, a little bit less this year, but, you know, I still read way more than most people because I'm an insane person. But yeah, that's pretty much all that was going on reading wise with me. And the next few Plan With Me's, there will be so much to talk about. There were so many books. I can't believe I did 31 books in 31 days in October. That was just absolute insanity. But I did it, and would I do it again? Absolutely not, but I achieved my goal. So, yeah, this is the finished spread, and again, super shiny. Love it. Love that bottom washi so much, but everything I read will be listed in the description down below, along with links to my Goodreads and my Instagram, and all of the shops that I routinely use. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you in my next one. Bye, guys.